Welcome back to Nothing But Nets. I got a good one for you today. We're going to get into the Nets tank that isn't tanking so much. 10 and 14 Nets, they're not really in position to get a top pick now, but we'll see how that changes, especially as December 15th draws near and they'll start selling off assets. But I'm here with my NBA expert, Nate, and he's got an interesting take on perhaps who they should draft and who would be the best fit. Nate, introduce yourself and who would be the best fit for the Nets right now?
Eric, thanks for having me on. We talked about it a little bit in the off season. There's obviously the big three, if you will, in the upcoming draft. But I've been a proponent, and now watching Rutgers play, I'm all over one of their big time freshmen that we'll get into.
And it may not be the one that you expect it to be. Coming into it over the offseason, it was Cooper and Ace, Cooper and Ace, Cooper and Ace, Cooper and Ace. And now there's a third guy, Dylan Harper. I would say through a month of the college basketball season, may be the best player in the country right now. Nate, your thoughts? And if you were the Nets, if you were Sean Marks, who would you be looking at?
I mean, you're obviously looking at all three, and it helps that by looking at one of them, you're looking at one of the other because they're on the same team. That definitely helps. And they're getting a ton of playing time on Rutgers. We talked about how Rutgers might not be the best fit offensively for these guys. They're just kind of thrust into the system where they're going to have the ball all the time, and it's. I mean, credit to Michael, he's changed. He's not running two bigs in the post and running like a floppy set every time like he did maybe 3 years ago at Rutgers. But it's kind of learn designed by learning on the job, so to speak, for the two young kids. But Harper is just the most NBA ready and or maybe not all right, maybe not that's not the right term, but maybe the most NBA upside in terms of a lead guard that can do it all. He's to me he looks like 6'7", 6'6" Jalen Brunson with wild athleticism and possibly a better shot at that age, and then in the college in his freshman year, I think Brunson was a 4-year player at Villanova where he won multiple championships. God forbid this Dylan Harper played 4 years in college. Can you imagine what he looked like 3 years from now and whatever 2029, leading Rutgers to a Final Four? That's obviously not going to happen, but he's just his game is so advanced. We've talked about this, like the fact that I'll always give an edge to a guy, especially a guy who's like a ball handler, like he is, who's a primary ball handler, who had an older brother, like an elite. I'm not saying Ron Harper Jr. is an elite NBA player, but a guy who played in elite AAU circles and with college players growing up, and his having a brother that's 3 years younger. So when Ron Harper's 13 years old and he's bringing his little brother Dylan, who's 10 years old, and Dylan was hanging with Ron and his bros at 13, and then at 13, Dylan was hanging with 16-year-olds, so that's why this transition when you see him playing at Rutgers, it seems so like the game is always at his pace. It's amazing for an 18, 19-year-old. It's played at Dylan Harper's speed, no matter what. You can't speed him up. And I mentioned Brunson. It's the same type of player where I mean, he could be. I was watching, I think, at Alabama, where he's on a break, and then all of a sudden, obviously, all the attention goes to him. He always plays off 2 feet, plays off of a jump stop, can have two or three guys around him, and use his footwork to step through and finish. The same finishes you see from those guys in the NBA that play off of 2 feet and they're very under control on the basket, aren't just Euro stepping and looking for a call to get to the line. It's an advanced professional game that he has at a teenage, very ripe age that can't even drink a beer yet. It's pretty impressive.
I wanted to address two things you said. First, Michael over in Rutgers and that offense. Are you telling me that running floppy action for Ace is not going to be their go-to scheme come March? Are they going to have something besides that?
I mean, you're still going to see it. Unfortunately, he kind of runs like a 1950s uh, kind of. Sometimes you'll see. I mean, you'll see like horn sets too now. He kind of just brought him up where two guys are at the elbow and he's running ace off one, and I don't know. It's
Yeah, I thought floppy action for Ace was going to be his big play. Like that was going to be his fancy set right there. We're going to run some floppy for Ace.
No, I mean we've seen it early in the year, but it's gonna be Dylan Harper's team, so to speak. Like he's I'm not
Yeah.
saying and it helps that they grew up together and played that's why they're at the same school. I mean, Ace kind of followed Dylan there and he's not that definitely helps. They're not two five-star recruits, California guys from Texas and they don't know each other and they both are competing. They played together and they want to play together. So I think it's as one takes the lead, it was probably pretty obvious to both of them that it was going to be Dylan having the ball in his hands, and not that Ace is not an incredible talent and going to make plays, and again probably better on the other side of the ball, and does a lot better than Dylan. Obviously, there's a lot on the floor he does better than Dylan, but there's I don't know. He's got the NBA game. That those lead guards. It's kind of like it's taking a quarterback. If you hit on the quarterback, you're in a really good place.
The other thing I wanted to address that you said, which I agree with, is he has an NBA, a basketball pedigree. His brother is an NBA player. His dad was a very good NBA player.
His brothers, and yeah,
His brother was drafted, right? He was drafted. He was on an NBA roster.
yeah. Again, it's one of those like people say Bronny was the only favor in the league. Like that's not true.
This
Bronny was
He was
like
all
I
over
mean
the
very
place.
heavy favor,
Yeah,
but yeah, that's Ron Harper Jr. is probably one of those guys that would be overseas if he wasn't Ron Harper Jr. But yeah, he
but
did play in the NBA. He's a G League guy for the most part.
that's my point. I started boxing when I was 10. I wasn't from a fighting family. The kids who were born and raised and bred to fight. Their father was a fighter, their brother was a fighter, their grandfather was a fighter, all their uncles, all their cousins are fighters. They're fighters. They're fighters in the house, in the blood. It's in the blood at a high level. They have so much more knowledge, and it's really like they were built to do this than just picking it up and playing. I don't think that's an underrated characteristic. And when you see it, you can see at his age, he's wise beyond his years, is he not, on the court?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think I alluded to it earlier. I think it just speaks to playing with guys who are older than you your whole life, playing with guys that are bigger, faster, and your like brain has to keep up. I remember when I was younger, and again, I didn't play at a high level at all, but when I got better was when my dad brought me to play at his runs with all his, former college players and guys, even though they were 35, 40 years old, all of a sudden I'm getting hit with it looks like they're running plays, but they're not because they just know how to move and they know how to read and react, and it's either you're just kind of thrown into the fire and you have to learn really fucking quick to either communicate on a screen or yeah, it's just different when you're playing with older guys. And you just keep up or you're out or you're not going to get invited next time. So it's I don't know. Yeah, he plays with that again, that sense of like calm. No one can hurry him up. He's not a big turnover guy. I mean, he's getting a lot of attention. I think last game he only shot the ball 7 or 8 times, and it wasn't because he's a shy player. It's because he's getting a lot of attention defensively, where teams are trying to get the ball out of his hands and disrupt Rutgers' offense, and that it definitely worked last game for them. It definitely worked last game. That's the scouting report has got the ball out of Dylan Harper's hands right now.
It was the breakthrough game against Notre Dame that went into overtime that they won. That he scored 36, and then it was the next night he played Alabama and dropped 37 in a tight loss. That kind of like woke everyone up. That said, okay, this guy is the real deal. But beyond the box score, beyond like just the 22 points a game and 4 or 5 rebounds, 4 or 5 assists that he's averaging, a deeper look, a more what does he do and what can he improve on? Like what does he do really well that the box score doesn't necessarily show, and what does he need to improve at the next level?
I mean, I'm gonna sound like a broken record a lot this particular episode, but that 6'6", like that amazing NBA point guard frame, like that Cade Cunningham frame, with that mix of like a Jalen Brunson, a guy that if you look at Brunson's scouting report, it'll probably be he doesn't have the quickest first step. He's not athletically, he's not gonna beat you at the rim, and it's not the Anthony Edwards where he's just gonna meet me and I'll finish over you. He's 3-point wise, he's not Steph Curry. He's not a guy that you want to see him shoot, make 2 or 3 before you really not to respect his three, but again, it's one of the on the scouting report as we talk about. It's one of the knocks in his game. All of these things where, as you said, in the box score, it doesn't matter when you watch a Rutgers game. Like it doesn't matter when you watch a Knicks game where it's like, well, you know, he's not Seth Curry when he shoots, or he's not this point guard when he shoots. Like it really doesn't matter because Brunson is the player he is. Like that it's like that herky, certain basketball players that they just got that herky jerky like a New York point guard where it's just like you just can't guard. I mean, it's not a quick crossover or a Tim Hardaway crossover. They just have that sense of lulling you to sleep and that herky jerky type of movement where it's even you'll hear NBA guys after they play Brunson and they're just like, yeah, he's a tough cover. Like it's not fun. The guy will lull you to sleep, and then he's really amazing. It's the same scouting report with Harper, where he's playing with guys that are older with him, that played college basketball, played on this level, and he's coming in like, give me the ball, I'll show you how it's done. And it's yeah, I love that no one can speed him up. I love that he plays off 2 feet. I love that he's like at ease. The guy could get it to get into a paint with a live dribble, and then figure out what he has to do. He's not going in under control, which is what you see out of 18, 19-year-olds all the time. Then they have to find out how to score in the NBA, where that sprinting at the rim and beating a guy off the dribble and then a wild finish and that works in college or like I said, Euro stepping through the lane is like really, really not the same unless you're Giannis and have like 6 foot strides. Is that can that be your go-to move when finishing at the rim? So it's like we talked about this last year. Halliburton has the height and all the finishing type abilities, but it's like you look at the shot chart. A guy like Jalen Brunson is just better around the rim. He's just better around the rim. He finds a way to finish. He's under control, no matter if defenders are bigger. If it's a rim protector or if it's a guard 1-on-1, he's just a great under control finisher around the rim.
I want to talk about that, right? Because I want to ask you about Halliburton too, and what the hell's wrong with him. But I don't want to start up the topic of Dylan Harper right now. Uh, the game has changed a lot since Ron Harper was in the league, but Ron Harper was a mid-range terror. Like that's where he scored all of his points. He had seasons he's averaged 20 points a game. It all came in the mid-range. The mid-range game is kind of changed a lot since Harper was in the league. How is Dylan Harper's mid-range game? Is that something his dad passed on to him, or is that is he more like Tyrese Halliburton, where it's going to be at the
No,
basket or from 30 feet away?
no. He's not like Tyrese Halliburton at all in that sense, where he doesn't need to play in pace, and he's not a pick and roll either. Yeah, pull up from three if you're going to play drop coverage or attack. And he's definitely, like I said, I alluded to this earlier, much better around the rim. But he plays an NBA game. He's playing an NBA game in college. That's seems like that's what he's done his whole life. Um, there's a certain I remember. So a buddy of mine, Peter Kiss, who actually left Rutgers and ended up leading the country in scoring at Bryant University. He played with Ron Harper Jr. at they were in the same class at
Dylan's older
Rutgers. And he
brother.
always
Yeah.
said it's going to be one of us three are going to make it out like and go to the NBA. Like there's not enough basketballs and shots. It's going to be like Geo Baker, myself, or Ron. And that like we all kind of knew like obviously it's going to be the 6'7" NBA talent that's going to end up or not NBA talent, but the NBA pedigree son that's going to end up getting that opportunity. But yeah, Harper, it's not going to be because his dad is an NBA player. It's because he's a stud that played with older guys and faster guys and bigger guys his whole life, and probably it's probably a freshman playing on AU teams with his older brother at 17 years old. So yeah, I'm all over him as a prospect. And I just think he has the highest ceiling. Like I said, it's like taking a quarterback in the draft. You want James Harden, you want Jalen Brunson, you want these big time lead guards that can lead you to a championship, so to speak.
The two other things I wanted to ask you about. A big problem I see with a lot of players transitioning from college to the NBA is that they can't really adjust from being the offense to being part of the offense, right? Where the offense runs through me all my life to now I'm simply a part of the offense. When Dylan Harper gets to the NBA, is that going to be an issue for him, or is he just going to run any offense that he's on? So it's always going to run through him.
No, I think he's going to be, the lead guard pretty immediately. I mean, he's going to be a top 3 pick almost guaranteed. So he's going to go to a bad team where they're a bad team because the ball's in, Dennis Schroeder's hands, or the ball's in Jordan Poole's hands. The ball's in, name any of these terrible teams in the league. I'm not saying the Nets are record-wise terrible, but we all think when we know how it's going to shake out.
Talent wise,
Yeah,
they're right there with Washington. Yeah.
right. But it's going to be Jordan Poole move over. It's this Dylan Harper's here, or Dennis Schroeder. Thanks for 2024. Dylan Harper's here, so he's from day one is probably gonna have that role. But I mean, he'll fit in seamlessly. He'll fit in seamlessly. He's already, like I said, he's already got an NBA game. He's probably been playing an NBA game since he was 17 years old. He just rare to see a point guard look this comfortable. And I'm like you alluded to the Notre Dame game, but seeing it the next night against Alabama, which is like twice as long as just they've got NBA bodies all over the
Yeah.
floor, and just the same output. And again, it's at his speed. Like you're always playing Dylan Harper's game when you're guarding him. It's tough to dictate anything.
It's the one thing that does jump. He plays the game at his pace. And like you say, you can't speed him up. Do you have any other comps like at that age, 18, 19 years old, whatever he is, another player who was that poised and that in control at that early of an age? And if so, how did that player turn out in the NBA?
Listen, I tried to think of this earlier and looking up guys. There's not a lot. There's not that I compare to. No, I mean Brunson did it, but he did it for 4 years.
Yeah,
One guy that I loved coming out of college, and this goes way back, was Mike Conley Jr. out of Ohio State.
yeah,
And Mike Conley was the same thing. Like when he was, I think he played 3 or 4 years too. He was there when Greg Oden was a freshman. He was their point guard. He ended up going, I don't know, 17th or 20th to Memphis. But Mike Conley too. He was like a 28-year-old NBA vet who that would happen to be playing at Ohio State. Like once you drafted him, you knew he was gonna just he was an NBA point guard that was the same thing. Like was he super quick? No. Did he have the knockdown jumper? No. Like, did he have these attributes that would make a top five pick? No. But you just knew that that's a 10-year NBA starter. That's a 10-year NBA point guard. Like Mike Conley, same thing, where he's like you're playing at Mike Conley's speed when you're guarding him. Like he'll bring the ball up with his back to the basket and take his time and get into the offense, and he's gonna get to his spot no matter what. He's not turning the ball over. He's again on one of those another one that's playing off 2 feet, playing under control when he gets to the rim. He's not flailing looking for a call and then he's gonna be the 10th guy back on defense. So it's a different game. It's just a different game, and I appreciate it so much. That's why I love if I'm watching college basketball and I can watch like a Villanova game. It's one of my top teams to watch because that's what they preach. That's what they teach is guards that play under control, guards that play off 2 feet. And I mean, you see it if you're a Knicks fan too. That's why it is fun to
yeah.
watch the Knicks.
You
I
can
know
see
we're a
that
Knicks
it's
podcast,
it's
but
a common trend with all of well, it was I don't know with Jay Wright. I don't know if that's going to carry over now that Jay Wright's gone, but you can see the Villanova guys. There's a
it
common
will.
trend. Yeah,
Yeah, it definitely will. I mean, one of they're a team that probably does a lot of rip throughs and just get into the lane and then just jump stop like over and over. I've seen them just preach jump stops, and that's what they'll practice. Some teams will get to practice and you practice rebounding for the first 30 minutes, and some teams it's jump stops, and then that's what you're going to end up being really, really good at. I remember a friend of mine went to Quinnipiac, and every single year they just led the country in rebounding percentage. Like it was incredible. But at practice, all they did was rebound, and they weren't very good shooters. They weren't very good defenders, but like they were goddamn good rebounders, and that's what they did. They were always on the offensive glass. They were always one possession and get a rebound on defense, or one shot rather and get a rebound. So you are what you practice. And yeah, Villanova is fun because they really do play under control, and you see it with that Villanova trio, that McCall and Harden. They'll get to the paint. It's about getting to the paint with a live dribble and then making a play, whether it's for yourself or someone else. So I love it. I love that type of basketball.
to Dylan Harper again. As far as his vision as a creator, as a distributor, as a point guard, how would you rate his vision? Is he a passer? Is he a distributor? How would you describe him as not just a scorer, but as a playmaker as well?
I He'll probably be the best one coming out in the draft. It's hard to see at Rutgers, right? There's not as much room on the floor. That's going to be in his as
Yeah.
soon as he gets to the NBA. There's going to be ample space compared to Jordan Durkak and Nick Martini, who's starting at Rutgers, who's like a 6'8" paisan who's there to rebound and box out. It's just like it's a little bit different. So when it's going to be a wide open game, it's like I guess watching James Harden dominate at Arizona State too is like, did you know he was going to be a 13 assist playmaker at Arizona State? No, because half the nights he's playing like a 1-3-1 trapping zone where it's like you're not getting 14 assists against Cal on the road, and it's a different game. So I still think he's going to be the best playmaker. It's hard to say like is he is he going to be a James Harden 13, 14 assist guy? But yeah, he's the best point guard and best playmaker in the draft coming up, and it's absolutely not a weakness. It falls in his category of strengths if that's what we're talking about.
I said it was too when I did a scouting report on a video earlier in the season when I was looking at all the top 5 picks. I'm a huge fan. 6'6". We compared him to Brunson and Harden to a degree, and those are comps that come up regularly. I wanted to ask you, Brunson is 6'1". I think they list him at 6'2" with his sneakers on. This guy is 6'6". He also seems to be more athletic than Brunson. I mean, if we're saying he's a 6'6" Brunson with better athleticism, what the hell's the ceiling on him? I mean, you know, like we're already comparing him to a top 10 player in the NBA with 4 inches and more athleticism. What's the upside? Like, what do you say is the ceiling, the max on Dylan Harper?
I mean, we brought up these names. It's that lead guard, all pro, like NBA first team, NBA second team, like the what I mean, Cade Cunningham is turning into an incredible player, right? I think at 18 years old, Dylan Harper is twice the prospect that Cade Cunningham is, and he's just again he comes from that.
Yeah,
He's got that basketball dad. He grew up in a basketball family. He watched his brother do it. So it's always the younger brother that ends up being a little better athletically at everything because of the reasons we talked about. They're playing with the older guys, and that's just yeah. His upside is better than Cooper and Ace. That, but in my opinion, when you're watching this and you watch what the NBA is, it's like, listen, Cooper's a great talent, and he will be. And same with Ace Bailey, but it's unless he translates to literally like a LeBron James type, like it's you have to go with the lead guard that can it's like Halliburton that can impact the possession and impact your offensive possession every single time he's on the floor. Halliburton can be responsible for 75 points in a night, for his team, and that's the same type of player Dylan Harper is, where he'll give you 30 and he can drop 14 dimes on you depending on the defense you're playing, right? And or I guess how people around him are shooting. That's what you want. That's what you want is it's if you're drafting is that type of player.
His name's come up, so I gotta adjust the elephant in the room. Tyrese Halliburton. His name's come up several times in this discussion. What is wrong
I was
with
a
Tyrese
positive.
Halliburton?
I'm up in a positive
No, no,
light.
I'm just wondering what the hell is wrong with him. Like, what is wrong with Tyrese Halliburton? It's been a year now, like a calendar year
Listen,
of him playing poorly. What's going on with Tyrese Halliburton?
we went over it in our debate, right? And my
Yeah,
point, one of the points about Brunson was that look at this guy's shot chart, right? Where does
yeah,
Brunson score from? Quite literally
everywhere. Yeah,
every spot on the floor. So there's not and efficiently and well. So if you're a defender, right, and I score from everywhere, where are you forcing me, right? Like how are you then, even next year or the next matchup we have in the playoffs, and you played me this way, you blitzed every screen last time, and that didn't work, and I got rid of it quick and led to wide open threes. All right, we'll play drop coverage. All right, I knocked down every three in mid range. All right, that didn't work. All right, so you're making adjustments, right? With Halliburton, when we talked about his shot chart, it was very limiting, right? I
yeah,
should
but
agree. Right?
hang on. Let me. You're not going to blitz Tyrese Halliburton because he's going to make the right read, and you're also not going to play drop coverage against Tyrese Halliburton either because he drops threes at a 40% clip, right? So
Yeah, but not this year. But that's what I'm saying. But we had this argument where
yeah,
I said, what is he if he's not dropping threes? And you brought up stat lines where, oh, game 6 he had this many 37 points, and I brought up games where he had 9
6 points.
and
Yeah,
6 and wasn't shooting the three well. And then when he's not shooting the three well, I mean, every guy has that night, unless your name's Steph Curry or Reggie Miller. Like you're not shooting the three bell and you see that as a defender, you get 3 more steps now. Like or you get that half a step on defense where now he can't beat me off the dribble because I'm not giving him that shot, but I'm 6 inches further back where I could defend and a lot easier now. So I think a lot of it is just he's not a threat in the mid range. Again, he's not knocking down his threes efficiently. They can obviously playing different defense this year. It's easier to defend a guy that can only score from X amount of spots. It's just that's the bottom line. And he's got the ball in his hands all the time. And once he gets inside the 3-point line, he doesn't have a game. There's no he's looking left and right. He's looking to dish the ball. And it's like I think you told me you're a pass first point guard, right? That's the
yeah.
worst thing everyone's got a scouting report on you, and the guy and someone tells your defender ahead of time that guy Gary can't fucking shoot, and all he does is pass, and then you get into the paint, and the whole team is ready for your no looks. It's like seems like that's what's happening with Halliburton. He's getting to the paint, and everyone's like, yeah, I'm not buying that shit anymore. We're not helping. We studied your game enough. We know you're breaking down the defense, and the next four passes will come. And I think they're. I mean, I don't watch a lot of Pacers basketball, but I would imagine they're letting him play a lot of one-on-one basketball. That's what I would do too. That just the help is not coming, and possibly, like you said, they're going under his screens. He's not knocking down the three ball, and then it's all right. I'll live with Halliburton one-on-one versus leaving an open shooter open or helping at all in the paint.
I want to switch transition back to Dylan Harper real quick. That debate, that not Dylan, the Tyrese Halliburton, Jalen Brunson debate we had, that aged well for you. Not
I mean,
so,
that was the
not
one
so much
debate,
for
though,
me.
that you
Yeah.
ever said that you walked away from and said you weren't sure if you won it. So at least you recognized at the time that it was going to be it wasn't
Yeah.
a clean knockout, if you will.
That was that obviously. Yeah, no, you gave me a lot to think about in that debate, and everything you've said so far has come to pass. I feel like you talking about that Brunson and Halliburton debate is a lot like me talking about Brock Bowers on a different show, but that's besides the point. I do want to transition back to Dylan Harper. We've talked about Ace and Cooper. If you're Sean Marks and all three guys are available, let's say you win the lottery. We've mentioned Harper as the most NBA ready, but you've also said he probably has the highest upside too. The clock is on. It's up to you, GM Nate. Who are you taking first?
As of today, it's
and trading the pick's not an option. You have to pick a player.
No, I'm not trading the pick. It's Dylan Harper. Is that? Yeah, no, I'm running up to the board and I'm taking Dylan Harper. I'm not saying, and again, Cooper Flag might be a 10-time NBA All-Star, but like I'm taking that 6'6" Jalen Brunson to run my team and I'll find the pieces to fit around him.
Real quick on the Cooper Cooper Flag thing, and I look, he's an overall prospect. I see why everyone speaks highly of him. What are your thoughts preliminarily, like through however many games? It's been 10 games so far with Duke. He's not a consistent shooter. There's a lot I like about Cooper Flag, but I don't see him. Like, I watched Kevin Durant for Texas. It was like incredible. Carmelo Anthony at Syracuse was amazing, right? LeBron James in high school was like, but these are the kind of level of guys he's being comped to. I don't see that. It's just kind of an elevated pitch. What are your thoughts so far on what you've seen from Cooper Flag? Is he the generational talent he's being made out to be?
He's definitely going to be. All eyes are going to be on Cooper Flag. It's like he's that name. It's like the Zion Williamson. I compare him a little bit to Zion, where that like high school hype was there, and then there was that moment where he lost his shoe going for a dunk, at Duke, and then just, oh well, I could. And it was that same hype where I was like, is this really going to translate it? Is he just going to like run and dunk on everyone in the NBA? Because that's really his game since like middle school. And again,
Yeah.
he's a great player, and other things have probably gotten in his way, like his health and whether he takes basketball seriously, what and whatnot. But Cooper Flag, I don't know. He's a pro. He's 100% a pro. He's going to be in the NBA a long time. He's a great defender. Like he's got an NBA body, obviously. He's 6'10", he's super athletic. He's incredibly athletic. But he also like he knows how to use his body as a pro. He's not a flashy, like he'll put his back to the basket and take a turnaround 10-footer if that's the best shot to take that possession. Like he's not everything has to be that kind of new age, as I call it, kind of like 3-and-3 or dunk, kind of just slash to the basket or take a step back three. The James Harden era of kids, if you will. But I don't want to knock him. I kind of, when I see him, I see people compare him to AK-47, right? And I see that too, Andre Kirilenko.
I've heard
I
that.
see
Yeah,
like
I've heard that comparison.
a more advanced OG Anunoby with more athleticism and a little more offensive touch. You know what I'm saying? That's really a problem. Like he probably got a quicker first step, and he's probably got a quicker jump shot or a better jump shot than OG did at the time. He's a little bit athletically. He's a lot. He's much better of a finisher, dunker, all of that stuff than OG was, especially for his age. But that's just like versatile defender that can also you look at the box score and it's like OG has 25. I don't remember him having 25, but he has 25. You know what I'm saying? We're just he'll have lots of boring baskets. He can finish in transition, play in transition, good shooter. Like I said, can be a mismatch and on both ends of the floor really. Can beat you off the dribble, but can also back down a smaller guy and frankly shoot over him and get to his spot. So like there's a lot to like about Cooper, but there's not that like one-on-one like Tracy McGrady like scoring ability that I was expecting with this type of hype. This 6'10", like he's a guard forward that can guard everyone, that can shoot, that can drive, that can fin like he's not the video game player that everyone made him out to be coming out of Maine, but um yeah, he's gonna be an NBA pro. He's gonna be great. He's gonna be a great player. It's just if you're trying to win a championship, you got the number one pick. Again, I'm taking the quarterback. Like I'm not saying he's not gonna be a bad running back, but I'm taking what works, and it's you need those lead guards in the league.
No, I agree with you. Before the college season started, I ranked him ace one, Dylan Harper two, and Cooper Flag three. And you're telling me that it's actually Harper that should go first. That you would take Harper first, and you made a good argument for it, but I gotta press back. To every pro there's a con, and even if you're nitpicking, even if we're like there are fighters like Terrence Crawford, like what would you really fix? What Kawhi Leonard, what can he really improve on? Dylan Harper, and even if you have to nitpick, what are his weaknesses? What does he have to work on in the next level?
I mean, he's definitely not like he's not an elite defender whatsoever.
Okay.
He's not an elite shooter yet whatsoever. He's not like you're still gonna give him the jump shot. Like you're not gonna let him get to the paint, and he would just break down your whole defense. So you're still on any given night gonna make him prove his shot is on that night, if you will. Um, Again, he doesn't have the quick first step. Like he's not an Anthony Edwards where he's just you can't stay in front of me, and then once I got a half a step on you, I'll dunk on your whole team. Like that's not what to expect from him. So there's weaknesses, if you will, to his game. It's just he's not, like I said, this all around like video game where he's 6'6", can absolutely do it all. He's just 6'6", can absolutely do everything under control and make great decisions for your offense and score the ball or drop 10 or 15 dimes based on how the defense is playing and or based on if his shot has fallen that night. It's the you can almost compare him to both of them. Like he's got a little Halliburton in him, he's got a little Brunson in him, he's I mean, he's playing with an NBA dad and an NBA brother. There's a lot to learn from, and everyone around him. Like, can you imagine the guys he played with growing up from 13, 14, 15 years old, and you're just a constant sponge. And like, clearly he was. He's just so under control and poised for his age on the court. It's yeah, I'm all over him.
Yeah, I think like having an NBA daddy and being from an NBA family isn't overrated. I think it's an underrated thing. You can see they're built to do this. They're around it the whole time, especially having an older brother. Now you're playing with the older brother, and I learned playing basketball. If I wanted to play with my brother when we're running, full court, I had to get him the ball, right? Like the rule was you don't shoot, only layups. Otherwise, you find me the ball, and that's how I
Right.
got to play with the older kids. It's like you don't shoot layups or you pass me the ball, and that's how I learned to play basketball. And now doing that at an NBA level with an NBA daddy with all NBA, all world athleticism is the end product. And he's wise beyond his years, and he's got a game that is way more developed than your superstar 18, 19-year-old. He's NBA
Yeah.
ready at this age, which is
But I think it has more to do with the brother. Again, he's playing like the guy like, who he's playing in college. He played them
yeah,
all last summer and 2 summers ago with Ron and at local Jersey gyms. Like all these guys he's playing in college, they all knew he would kill them because he's been killing them for years. Like this isn't new.
yeah.
He didn't. It's not his first invite to the dance. He's been playing in all these summer tournaments that these college kids play in or open runs, whatever workouts that guys have in North Jersey. Like he's been killing them. So when he steps on the court, now that it counts and the lights are on, they still know that they're going to get killed. I think yeah, that's what's kind of like not shocking by a lot of it is that he's been doing it to these guys, especially a lot of the the early games, they like to schedule a lot of local teams too. I'm sure he knows a lot of the guys on the team that are older than him.
All right, Nate, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your analysis. And I got a feeling that Cooper Flag goes to Utah and Dylan Harper goes to the Nets. So this is good. This is going to be music to Net fans' ears if he does end up on the Nets. So I just got a feeling he does. I have my own thoughts on the NBA draft. And if that's 100% legit.
That sounds like a whole nother episode. Yeah.
But I'm going to put this prediction on the table now. Cooper Flag's on Utah. Dylan Harper's on the Nets. Wherever they may
Dylan
draft.
Harper, in that case, he's literally box office, because I would easily go watch Dylan Harper at Barclays and get on the 2-3 train to go see that over whatever else is going on there right now. Like, they're playing good basketball. I just don't want. I'd rather watch Keon Johnson from my seat right here at home than go pay to see it. So.
Well, you'll be in the house next month, January 6th and January 8th. Nate will be
we'll
at
be
the
there.
Barclays with
We'll
me to watch the
Nothing But Nets crew will be live at the Barclays. Absolutely.
Hopefully Keon Johnson isn't starting. I like Keon Johnson. He's got a lot of athleticism. He's got a lot of hustle. He's just not a very good basketball player, unfortunately. But I appreciate your time, Nate. Thanks for jumping on. Tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, I'm on you'll see me on Nate Tape with an extra E on Twitter if you want to come talk anything basketball, or hopefully you don't want to talk about the Jets, but we're kind of all Jetsed out by now.
Just real quick, Jets. I don't want to lose. I want to win because I'm a Jet fan. I don't want to win. I don't want to lose because I don't want to end up with a top 3 pick and then they're going to draft one of the quarterbacks I don't love. I don't really love any of these quarterbacks. So I don't want the Jets to lose all the way to the 3 spot and then be like, well, let's draft the quarterback. So I want the Jets to win every week. How about you?
There's a lot of bad teams. I don't think they're going to end up. They're going to win a couple games. Like, they don't lose. They're not going to lose to Jacksonville, right? Like, you can't lose to Jacksonville. Like, they
Tennessee just
lose
did.
to everyone, but
10-6 in a barn burner.
Yeah, I mean, but that's how you lose to them, 10-6. We would have to lose to them 10-6, which would be, I don't know. I want Rodgers to play better. Whatever. I'm trying to enjoy my Sunday night, Gary. I'd rather talk about the Nets at this point.
All right. Fair enough, Nate. Appreciate your time, y'all. Appreciate your time, Nate. It's December 8th, 2024, from Texas to the world. Thank you, and God bless.